What a great time to be a Giant, be a fan of the Giants.
Like, we have something going here. We're building something special, and, you know, you can see it from the outside and inside. It's even more beautiful.
Reflecting on everything that got me here, just to see that uniform, and, you know, I watched, that's the team I watched the most growing up because my dad was a Giants fan, so.
Once a Giant, always a Giant. For me, it's only a Giant.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of All In with Art Stapleton, a New York Giants podcast brought to you by NorthJersey.com and The Record. I am your host, Art Stapleton, and I am recording this from the press box at State Farm Stadium. Final score, New York Giants 31, Arizona Cardinals 28. The most remarkable comeback that I've seen on the beat. The largest comeback since 1949 for the New York Giants, and at halftime, down essentially 60-0 this year. 20 points at halftime, 60 total, including the Cowboys' loss, 40-0 from Week 1. You don't need me to tell you. Everyone was questioning Daniel Jones, $140 million contract, what's going on? Sorry, $160 million contract, $40 million this year. I saw some tweets, people already talking about his salary cap hit for next year. And in the blink of an eye, when they came out of the tunnel, the New York Giants in the second half dominated this game. Biggest play of that second half to start with was the spark. The rookie, Jalin Hyatt, provided it, a 58-yard catch and run from Daniel Jones. And off to the races the Giants were. Now look, the Giants scored to make it 20-7, but then the Cardinals came right back down, went for two, and were up 28-7. So anyone that just points to that Hyatt play and says that was the reason for the turnaround, it was a lot more than that. And I think when you talk to Brian Daboll, what he said afterwards, he said sometimes you can believe all you want in a team, in yourselves, but you have to go out and do it. And I think the Giants went out and did it. The defense started to make plays when they needed to. You know, and I think ultimately Daniel Jones in that second half was the player that the Giants believe he can be. And, you know, it sounds kind of funny, and I said this to some interviews. We'll have interviews with Isaiah Hodgins, Jalin Hyatt, Darius Slayton, and Darren Waller, all part of this special post-game podcast. A historic week here for the Giants, having to stay here now in Arizona. But at 28-7 in the third quarter, I don't know how many Giants actually believed that they were going to come back and win this game. But ultimately they did. Saquon Barkley obviously is a huge fixture here. He had 2 touchdowns. He had the 1 touchdown catch from Daniel Jones. That was all effort, an unbelievable effort to dive and reach the pylon to pull the Giants within the touchdown. Obviously late, an unfortunate situation with Saquon getting rolled up, his right ankle, heavily taped as the final seconds ticked off the clock. Graham Gano with the game-winning field goal. That's 12 game-winning field goals for Graham Gano in his career. Obviously, the status of Saquon, we don't know. I can't imagine that he's going to play Thursday night in Santa Clara against the San Francisco 49ers. He was hobbling around the locker room. His ankle was swollen. He went for x-rays. Presumably, the x-rays were negative because he was not on crutches, but he was sitting in a chair, and that's the last thing you wanted to see. It was jubilation around the locker room, and then Saquon Barkley sitting in his chair in front of his locker, obviously trying to replay in his head what transpired over those final seconds. I mean, he was unbelievable in the fourth quarter. He had that one run in the fourth quarter that just would not give up, bounced off several Arizona defenders, and Daniel Jones throws a touchdown pass to Isaiah Hodgins. You'll hear more about that from Hodgins. Special moment. It was his son's birthday and was here at the game. Ended up finding him after scoring that touchdown. We'll have that in my one-on-one with Hodgins. So without further ado, let's get to that one-on-one with Isaiah Hodgins right now. When did you come in asking these guys? And Dave said he talked about belief and how the belief in a team can really be strong. When did you start believing that this wasn't just a possibility, that this was going to happen?
For the comeback? I mean, we knew being down 20-0. I know, like, it's a cliche answer and everyone says that, but, like, we honestly knew, like, we weren't out of this game. Like, you know, we have a chance. And when we came out there that first drive and scored in, like, a minute and whatever seconds, like, I was like, all right, yeah. Like, we're back. Like, it don't matter how many other times they score. Like, I know we're going to do our job on offense. And, you know, that was a big momentum shift. So all hats off to Jalin, to everyone who was making plays that drive. So
your touchdown catch, and then I heard a TV show that you kind of was your son here?
Yeah. I gave my son the ball. It was his birthday, so it was a special moment for me. So, you know, my dad actually told me before the game, he was like, you know, we're in the end zone where it says, I think it was Arizona Cardinals, one of the end zones or whatever. And he was like, and I saw him pregame, and he was like, you score down here, give me the ball. So when I didn't catch that fade on the touchdown, you know, I was like sick and I was getting down on myself, and then I just like felt myself like, you know what, like, I'm gonna sit back here and I'm gonna get a touchdown. I'm gonna go give him the ball, and it happened like that. So
last thing, you know, it might sound silly that a game in week 2 can save a season.
Yeah.
But you guys know what's ahead of you.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know
for
this
sure.
hard road.
Yeah.
Is there any validity to that? The idea that you feel like you kind of picked up your season right now?
No, I mean, it definitely helps. I mean, there's, like, you know, a big difference between 0-2 and 1-1. And a lot of people just say, oh, it's one game. And, I mean, regardless of what would have happened, I know that this team, we would have bounced back. But, I mean, it's a huge momentum shift and a huge difference. So, I mean, it helps us a lot. It helps show, like, in the future, if we're ever in this position again, like, don't flinch. Like, we could come back. It doesn't matter who it is. So, you know, that helped a lot for this team.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, so that was Isaiah Hodgins. What a great story. Catches the touchdown. Just a bullet, a dart from Daniel Jones through traffic, thread the needle, if you will. And that was Hodgins. Then now we've got a series of interviews that I wanted to record and get on the post-game pod. We're going to go Jalin Hyatt, then Darius Slayton, Darren Waller, and Xavier McKinney. Some were just one-on-one. McKinney was one-on-one. Obviously, I dropped in questions with Hyatt and Slay and Waller. All huge, important pieces to today's puzzle for the New York Giants. Jalin, Dave's talked about the idea that, you know, sometimes a team needs to believe in itself, and maybe that was kind of waning a little bit at halftime. When did you start believing that not only that you could do this, but that you guys were going to do this?
You know, to be honest, we were believing that the first half. We just didn't execute, didn't do some things that we wanted to do in that first half. And like we did last week, you know, we got stuck in the corner again, you know, and 0 points in that first half. Now we got to do something in the second half. We have to. And came in the locker room in halftime, and, you know, Dave didn't even say a word. I think we all knew what we had to do. And when we went in that second half, you know, everything changed. So just give credit to the leaders, man. Credit to the leaders of the room that got us all together again, and credit to DJ as well on making, you know, tough plays.
You didn't have a catch last week.
Yep.
Did that weigh on you that you really want to do something today to make?
Yeah, definitely. You know, last week didn't do what I wanted to do personally. Had to drop, and only that, just the effort and everything that I did in that game just wasn't there. And, you know, a new week. And when I came in this game, I knew I had to change everything. My whole week of preparation was different. You know, I actually was watching film, you know, 24/7, you know, seeing who we're playing. And not only that, DJ always standing in my corner, you know, saying that, hey, we're going to get the ball to you. We're going to get the ball to you. And that's what he did. And I think it just goes back to our leadership that we have now.
I think we knew we weren't executing like we needed to. We knew we had to be better. At the end of the day, like, you can give all the rah-rah speeches you want, but bottom line is you got to go out there and make plays. Players got to make the plays come to life and go. And I think we all understood that at halftime and got it going in the second half.
Slay, was there a moment in that second half where you started believing and saying, you know what, we are going to get this done?
Shoot, we came out the tunnel. We had the ball first. You know, it's like, as an offense, like, you got to start believing right there, because it's important to go down there and get a touchdown. And, you know, I think we did score right out of half, right? And we went down and got a touchdown, and then at that point, it's okay, we got a little momentum, and defense got to stop, and then from there, you're just putting points up.
Was there a point where you felt like we're just not going to lose this game?
Yeah, like I said, we came out of half, we got that first touchdown. It's like, all right. It's kind of like, you know, in basketball, when they say you're getting the lid off the rim. It's like, all right, we got in the end zone, and now it's time to go.
The poise and but also the balance with the intensity that, I mean, I've seen since April. I've seen all through camp, seen all through OTAs. So that's the consistent guy that I've seen every day. And I feel like throughout the game, like I always say, I just try to put myself in a position to where it looks like, I'm open, It's like, he can throw it there. Like, I just try to keep it as simple as that on the plays that are called. And there are more opportunities in the second half, not only for me, but for a lot of guys that may play. So just presenting ourselves open to the quarterback, and we got a quarterback that's going to put it there.
Darren, when did you specifically start believing that this was possible?
I knew it the whole time, like I tell people all the time, it's like from my life journey, I don't try to be too philosophical, but I've been knocked down on my ass, like not knowing like what I was gonna do, like nothing really. I couldn't look too far into the future of like what I wanted my life to be. Like I had to handle things like right where I was, and so like that second half just reminded me of that. I see a lot of guys that have a similar character when adversity hits, because I've been on the other side of a lot of those games, and games where the second half you have a choice to make and it gets even uglier. Like I've been on that side, and just grateful to be part of this group.
How deep did that hole feel in that first half? Because you're coming off a game where you hadn't scored against Dallas, now you're 20-0. From the outside, it looks like a big, significant accumulation of bad stuff going on. Can you just describe the vibe at the half, and how do you climb out of that?
Yeah, I mean it can be a hole if you view it that way. Because at the end of the day, it's like that's the score and that's the result of what the first half was. If you want to do something about what that looks like, it takes one individual play at a time. It doesn't take looking at the scoreboard, it doesn't take looking at the clock or worrying about what went wrong. It's like if you handle individual plays, you'll put yourself back in the position because you're going to be doing things right. And that's the approach that we took, because a lot of times you can get distracted by saying, oh man, we're in a jam, like we need a huge play, we need this, we need that, instead of just like going there and just let's execute, let's make something happen on the first drive. All right, let's continue that, let's continue to sustain.
How much of a spark was that DJ throw to Hyatt? That's right out of the box in the second half there, whatever, 58 yards or whatever it was. How much of a spark was that? Because you had not really had anything to kind of build on in that first half, and it just seemed to kind of get you guys going a little bit. It got the Giant fans in the building a little bit going, right?
Right, yeah, it's a huge spark at that point in the game, and it's like playing in National Football League, you don't know when that spark may come. Of course, you want it to be earlier, but that was the opportunity for us in this game, and we took advantage of it, and that allowed us to build some momentum and sustain and drives. To like, okay, like this is what we're used to. This is what we've been doing since April throughout this whole process. Like we know what we can do as an offense, and yeah, that definitely gets you going.
Darren, it sounds kind of silly to look at week 2 and say a win or a comeback can save a season, but the reality of this season and what you guys have ahead of you. Is that far-fetched to say a season was saved today, the way you guys battled back? And
today's game mean nothing about the rest of the season. We got to go out there each and every Sunday or each and every whenever we play, and we got to be a lot better. We got to go out there each and every practice and be a lot better. This game is obviously it's over with now. I'm happy that we were able to get the win, but we got to be a lot better, man. And the guys in this locker room know it. The coaches, everybody knows it. So we'll get there. I know we will. But we just gotta be a lot. We gotta start a lot faster. We can't have slow starts to games because it's not helping us. It's making it a lot harder for us. But we do have a lot of resilient guys in this locker room, and guys that are battle tested and guys that have been through the tough times. So I know how these guys will respond, and I know how the coaches will respond, and we were able to do that today.
Dave said he talked about belief, and sometimes you can say you believe but until you go out there and show it.
Exactly.
When did you start believing in that second half? I know you've never lost belief, but believing that you guys were going to win this game.
Yeah, I think, like I said, we didn't win. I've been here. This is my 4th year now, and a lot of these guys have been here. So we have been rock bottom, and we done been through a lot of shit together. And so I know when it's time on the clock, I know we always got a chance to win.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Appreciate it. So now we stay in Arizona. Giants are here, so I'll be here. We'll be in Tempe Monday and Tuesday, then head to San Francisco on Wednesday for the game Thursday night against the 49ers. Now, look, Saquon Barkley's status is huge. I don't think there's any way he can recover to play Thursday night against the 49ers. I think the focus right now, you're hoping that it's not a high ankle sprain. We'll see if it is. That would likely knock him out, weeks, not days. But let's see how the scans, what they show, and how Saquon recovers from that. But look, you're at 1-1 for the Giants. If you can be 2-2 after the Monday night game against the Seattle Seahawks at home, you've kind of salvaged the beginning part of this season. And when they were sitting there with no points for the 2023 season after 91 minutes and 17 seconds, to come back and win this game the way they did showed a lot of moxie, showed a lot of guts. For everyone who was bailing on Brian Dable and this team, and already talking about Caleb Williams and the next quarterback of the Giants, Daniel Jones kind of shut some people up in that second half too. Let's not make too big of it. The reality is they beat the Arizona Cardinals, a team that's 0-2 right now. So, for the effort and the performance, it's historical for what the Giants did today. But wherever they go from here remains to be seen. And I do think one important note, it was spread on social media, and then obviously it was shown on the broadcast. It looked like Brian Dable was calling plays. He said, he was asked directly, and he said after the game he was not calling plays. He's always involved with his coordinators on the headset. He always has a play sheet. He said Mike Kafka called a good game. And that's what Dable's saying, so you take his word for it in that situation. But whoever was calling the plays, whether it was a joint effort or however it happened, what the Giants did in the second half, they were a different team that played against the Cowboys, and a different team that showed up here in the first half. So we'll be back tomorrow with more fallout from this, and then we get ready. We'll be with the Giants tomorrow and Tuesday, so we will have more sound, more reaction to this, and obviously quick turnaround to face Christian McCaffrey, Mr. Bosa, and the rest of the 49ers on Thursday night. So appreciate you tuning in. As always, we are all in. So hopefully you'll stay all in too with the New York Giants. Final score, 31-28. Big Blue picks up its biggest comeback victory since 1949. Everybody have a great night.